whatever's in
But they
between.
have this nice little sign. You just go down there.
Because when you go on that too,
Yes. No, it's not, yes.
Okay.
two different colors. I guess we're ready.
Maybe I'll go over there Sunday too.
Welcome, everybody, to the regularly stated meeting of the Yarmouth Conservation Conservation Commission. This is the meeting for Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. This is to formally advise that, as required by General Law, Chapter 30A, Sections 18 through 25, and pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, an act relative to extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency signed into law on June 16, 2021, as extended by Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, the Yarmouth Conservation Commission will hold a public meeting at the date and time noted above. The public is welcome to attend either in person or via the alternative public access provided on the notice of meeting available on the Town of Yarmouth website. And this is the meeting for Thursday, November 2nd, 2023. Our first order of business is a vote concerning a Article 18 Special Town Meeting, Chapter 143 Wetland Bylaw Update. This is a vote to postpone the article due to a draft version inadvertently being posted in the official warrant, which is missing key revisions. The commission looks forward to bringing this article back for Springtown meeting and the opportunity to allow for increased public education on these important updates. Do I have a motion to postpone the article?
Can we
Moved.
I think we want to withdraw the article instead of
Withdraw.
postpone.
I'm sorry, you told me that, and I said it, and I hadn't done. So this is to withdraw the article, withdraw the article due to draft version inadvertently being posted in the official warrant, which is missing key revisions. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed? Carries unanimously. Our next order of business is a continued notice of intent for SE 83-2397 Woyo-Karosky with WRS Engineering for Paul and Nancy Cruz, 52 Prince Road, proposed dock and boat lift in land under the ocean, coastal beach, salt marsh, land containing shellfish, and land subject to coastal storm flowage.
Good evening. Roy Okarowski here. This is Paul Cruz and Nancy's back there. We've been working on a solution to getting Paul some type of facility to keep his boat on his property in Mill Creek. Just a brief preview, we've been dealing with waterways for probably the last 4 or 5 months. We previously, the original filing that went in here was for a dock and a float going to the south of his property, and it was a joint consensus with neighbors and abutters that it wasn't a great solution. So, you know, Paul came up with this idea of a very short 10-foot long pier with a boat lift, similar to the 2 other boat lifts right around the corner, extending only 24 feet from his bulkhead. In terms of shellfish, we've been to waterways, and we had an extensive shellfish survey done on the south side, and at the waterways meeting, they basically said that that was close enough to not have a shellfish survey in this exact area because it would probably be the same density, et cetera. In terms of the performance standards of the town and DEP, we're only proposing 4 piles in the area that's designated as coastal beach. It's intertidal. It's not in salt marsh. And that square footage is roughly 4 square feet or a little less, as opposed to the many piles that were proposed for the other. Then we also have salt marsh. So salt marsh is really not applicable. Coastal beach, land subject to coastal storm flowage is not applicable, and land under ocean is the same. There's no work in land under ocean, and then land containing shellfish would be the other resource area. We find that this solution, and since we've been to waterways, is the best of everything. We are south of the designated line shown in your plans. That's the no pier, no dock line. So we feel we meet all the criteria for the town. This is a boat lift. If you're familiar with some of the other projects, the boat will be kept well above the water to keep it from causing any shading or anything, and it'll only can be used, so about, what is it, mid-tide up, I'd say? About mid-tide up is the only time he'll be able to use it, and he realizes that, and it's only gonna be there for maybe four months a year. So it's a very low impact. Because we're only going out 24 feet from the bulkhead, most of the small boat traffic around there doesn't go right near that bulkhead in there due to the shallowness. They go out and then they cut back in. So we feel from a recreational standpoint, we're not blocking anything. At this point, we'd like to answer any questions. Paul, who dealt with waterways and knows the property and all the boating around it best, will answer those questions, and I'll answer any technical questions on the construction. Thank you.
All right, questions from the commission?
I have a remark to make, that I feel that this no dock zone line is rather confusing, because the way the line is on this and the way it's drawn in the town stuff, it does go along the shoreline, but if you look along the shoreline, that means anybody can put a dock in that's less than 24 feet, which is how far that line is off. But that sort of defeats the whole purpose of a no dock zone. So I have questions on that line for the no dock zone.
So if I could answer that, that dock line was pulled from the town maps.
I know.
Waterways reviewed the line, they accepted the line, so that's the line. It's no different from a zoning line. You can't basically, just say, I don't like it, because I don't think it's that way. I mean, that's the line.
But if you look at all the, I don't know, do you have that there available for the, because they did not, when they made these maps, they purposely did not go all along the shoreline, because it would diffuse the coloring of the shoreline on that. So
Yeah,
it
I
is
agree
all
that
along.
the intention of the map is to include the area along the shoreline. I know it is,
Right.
it's not shown as such. I know it's a broad drawing, but
If you want to.
Can I make a comment? Hi, Paul Cruz, the property owner, with my wife Nancy Deneen. I actually discussed with Brittany a little bit, and I met with the harbor master. And we're proposing,
sorry.
there we go. We're proposing to stay out of that dock zone and stay basically out of the channel, which actually sticks, further out of there. And when the line goes across, the way the small lift was proposed was to stay out of that dock zone. Kind of have like, a little tiny triangle, because I'm the house on the end there. Just stay out of the no dock zone. And that's why we didn't propose, when we went to Waterways, we had an opposition, we wanted to put it on the south side. There was a lot of opposition because of a natural channel everyone's familiar with the creek if you are. So we went back to the drawing board. I met with Bill, the harbor master, and we kind of came up with this little short lift that stayed out of everybody's way and was kind of out of the no dock zone, because everybody at that meeting wanted us to put it on the north side, and I said, we can't do that. There's a no dock zone, and I didn't want to ask for a permission to put something in the no dock zone.
Just one more comment on the map. If you look at the map, his house is shown on the map. Our dock is coming straight out from his house, and you can see that line, the green line, is clearly well north. We're actually a lot more conservative on our plan than that plan is. And that's what it is.
Okay, I just said I had a comment on that. I was here when they made those lines, and yes, it's all along the shoreline, but I believe it was from that corner to the other corner. And this is awful close to that, but that's just my opinion. I was not at that Waterways meeting, so I would have brought that up then.
Okay. Rick?
My 14 years on the Conservation Commission, I have never seen an application that has a 0-inch mean low water baseline for this. I'm astounded by the temerity of the applicant to even submit this application. So I think you know how I'm going to vote on this.
Can I comment?
That was another thing
It's not,
Waterway should have
it's not
done.
zero.
That's what it says in your plan. So I have to rely on your plan to make my comment.
So mean low water is a line on the plan. We're not proposing anything different.
Now, you don't nowhere close to the 3 feet that we need in our regulations.
There's also 2 other, the same exact facility permitted in about 1.5 feet of water that you approved.
Before my time.
All right, thank you.
Something else they should have picked up too.
Rick, anything else?
No, thank you.
Anybody else in the commission?
I agree with Rick. I just see it being way too low for, to allow it to happen.
Brittany?
Agree with the depth issue. Even at high water, you have 3 feet at mean high water, which does not leave much time on either side to meet that 3-foot depth minimum. No other questions?
If I could just comment for the record, everybody's saying the 3-foot depth minimum. The 3-foot depth minimum is for floats. We don't have a float, so all the comments are just clarification that there is no float. The regulation is for floats. We don't have a float, so all those comments should be directed to say in the record that the boat is within that, not the float, because there is no float. Just for the record, that's all.
Okay, anybody in the audience have any comments, questions on this? All right, if you would just go up one by one to the microphone and just make sure it's on, number 1. There you go. And then if you would just state your name for the record and just please keep your comments limited to things that relate to Wetlands Protection Act.
Absolutely. Good evening. My name is Nancy Deneen Cruz. I'm also homeowner at 52 Prince. We love our home. We bought this home with expectations to make it the beautiful piece that it is today. We are here today to try to get this lift to basically to help Paul and I as we age. We plan on retiring here. And we did talk to everybody we could and hired Roy and all consultants that we could to the best of our abilities. And we did look at that demarcation line and saw that it went this away. And if it's not correct on your side, the way we saw it from the town it was drawn was what we interpreted and is what you guys put out. So if it differentiates from what you see to what we see, that's really not our problem, it's yours. And honestly, if it was a different commission, Mr. Bishop, than who you are, I understand that, but there are other people that have lifts right now, and it is a lift. And we went through this with Roy. It does side with where the boat lands, not where, the other pieces are. We're just trying to do this to, like I said, to help Paul and I. It was hard. We moved the boat at the commission's request immediately. Paul injured his knee really bad. He has a torn meniscus and cartilage, etc. I hurt my leg really bad because there's a lot of mud by where we are on that side of the creek. And we can't do it. We just, as much as I think I want to be my dad, Don Deneen, I'm not. I try. I can't do it. And it's not worth our health to do this. So we decided one more time to try to come to you guys just as people and say, we want to be here. This is our home, and we want to be able to boat because we love it. We're out there as much as we can. And I love seeing my neighbors out there, and we listen to them, and we talk to them at length. And they said they all liked it, and they were good with it, especially our kayaking friends, when it gets a little bit low, so that we weren't interrupting their time on the creek either. We want to be here, live here, and grow up here with our family and our friends, et cetera. So that's all I wanted to say. We're not trying to cause any trouble. We're just trying to say, we tried to use the information given to us to the best of our ability to build this lift. And we tried to do it in a manner that was acceptable to the town and the state and all the powers that be. And I thought we hit the mark, and I thought our neighbors were accepting of this. That's all we were trying to do, is just be good neighbors, be good environmentalist people, and we've made some mistakes along the way. And I'm sorry about that. We're just learning about water and waterfront and how, where, and why. So please hear us and understand that. And if we had to tweak some of this to make it correct so it would work, we'd really appreciate a good look at it instead of an absolute no and a quick vote. Just another thought, and realizing that some of your information that was disseminated to us is differing from what you guys see. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Sure, come on up.
Thank you. Good afternoon, members of the Conservation Commission and Ms. DiRienza. It's a pleasure to be here. I'll try to make this short and sweet. I'm Glenn Bolliger. I'm a resident of 138 Baxter Avenue. I'm a member of the
Give me your last name again.
Bolliger, Bolliger.
Thank you.
I'm a member of the Grist Mill Village Civic Association, which is located at Grist Mill on the western coast or border of Mill Creek. We're a group of 44 homeowners who have been boating on Mill Creek for more than 60 years. I personally have been boating on Mill Creek for 22 plus years. I believe that we can all agree that at the end of Prince Road, the water is quite shallow. I've been kayaking and in that area and the area of construction, I'm constantly astounded how shallow it is. I can easily see the water. And when I take my boat around, which has a small draft, I do have to tip up the engine to avoid the propeller hitting the bottom or the intake sucking up debris from the bottom. So it's quite shallow. The shallow depth there also limits our access to Lewis Bay from the Grist Mill Beach. We only have access 2 hours before high tide and 2 hours after high tide. I think that was already mentioned. It's quite limited access. I was out in a kayak inspecting the proposed area of construction, and I conclude that this construction of a new boat lift and pier is a bad idea. And let me give you my concerns. My first concern is, despite the claims that the boat lift will be used, I'm not so sure about that. If the boat is used regularly, I think for convenience, the boater will moor their boat at the side of the boat lift rather than putting the boat on the lift. That additional boat moored alongside will present another obstruction to the narrow and shallow channel. And when the boat is moored alongside, as the tide recedes, the boat will come down and touch the bottom, affecting the ecology of the bottom. The second point I'd like to make is that the bottom of the water depths in the bottom are changing. It's a dynamic environment. And I'm told by the Department of Natural Resources that the bottom is silting in. And the combination of the shallow and changing sandbar plus the silting, well, first off, it's difficult enough to get through there now, but it'll only get worse. And the addition of a boat lift and a pier to that area will add to compound the problem. My other concern has been voiced by my neighbors who question what will happen with material dredged up from the bottom of the creek with creation of the boat lift and pier. My final and probably most important point is, and it's already been alluded to, but I want to reinforce that, is that the proposed plan does not meet the minimum depth requirements. the approval by the Waterways and Shellfish Advisory Commission only made it contingent on approval by you folks granting a variance. I think granting a variance for this construction would be a precedent for other substandard construction in Mill Creek and other projects on any waterway in Yarmouth, and I think that's something that should be avoided. I understand that the homeowners would like to moor close by, and anybody who's been in that area will observe there are at least 3 pre-existing piers that are underutilized. One of those piers is associated with the house that's being rented. I'm sure the residents of 52 Prince Road would just, right next door to them, could talk to one of their neighbors and arrange renting a mooring space on one of the underused piers. That would easily solve their problems. To summarize, I am against this proposal because it'll be a hazard to boating, and granting a variance would set a dangerous precedent for further waterway construction. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? Anybody on Zoom who would like to comment on this, to raise your hand digitally?
Yep. Well, we got one in person and one on digital.
Dan, hold on. I'll get back to you in just a minute, okay? I'd already called for the Zoom. So Deb Carlson,
Hi, can you hear me okay?
yeah, go ahead.
So, I'm concerned on that corner. The whole corner is just so shallow, and there are very few times during the day, close to high tide, that you can actually get in and out. And, you know, if, what happens if the boat owner, the folks from Prince are trying to come back and they can't get to their lift because it's very shallow there. I mean, it's basically a sandbar on that corner.
Okay, all right, thank you. Anything else?
No, that was just my chief concern.
Okay, great, thank you. All right, back to the audience. You had a...
My name is Richard Egan. I live on 8 Sagamore Road. That's a little further down the creek, but I've personally been boating on Mill Creek since I'm 5 years old. And I think I know it as well as anybody and better than most. And it is ever changing, unfortunately, and not for the better. There's so many shallow areas. And it's funny, particularly in the area of the area in question today, that sandbar that was just alluded to have been growing consistently for the last 3 or 4 years, and it has narrowed down the access from the Back Bay, all of the Back Bay area, to get out to the creek's mouth. And unfortunately, it's probably going to continue to do the same thing. The channel is narrow, and unfortunately, it may stay narrow because of the tides. You have to have the flow in and out. I don't personally have any issue with the people that have the application, and I understand why they would like to have a dock there, but when they purchased the house, it was very shallow to start with, so this isn't anything that came up recently since they've acquired the property. So further investigation on their part would have indicated that this would be an issue. So furthermore, if it doesn't meet the town's requirements, I'm opposed to that. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I own a big marina and a boatyard in Barnstable, and I have to deal with these kind of issues. And we are very careful about what we do, and how we manage the waterways, because they're really a wonderful thing for all of us, and Mill Creek is the same. I think it's just unfortunate that whole general area, in the whole Upper Bay area is just losing its depth, and I think that's unfortunate because it's such a nice area and a wonderful, popular place for pretty good-sized boats and sailboats that like to move around there. I've also gone by there with I have a little tugboat, and I can get up there at high tide, but there's only 3 feet maybe or less in that general area. So I'd just be concerned about what happens if you have a boat tied up alongside this proposed platform. I guess that's what you'd call it. So anyway, I'm not trying to do anything to harm my neighbors, but this is the wrong place to do this kind of work. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else? Last opportunity. Again, the last one on Zoom. See none. Is there any further discussion among the board? Then may I have a motion to approve the project with special conditions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Thanks, Paul. All those in favor say aye. Not a one. All those against, nay?
Nay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, nothing.
0-5, but okay.
Does not pass. All right, thank you.
If I could just make one comment, Brittany, can you please mail the denial straight to Paul?
Okay,
Just
yes,
to expedite it, because I travel a lot.
and do.
Thank you for your time, everybody.
All right, next order of business is another continued notice of intent for SE 83-2407, Dan Ojala, Down Cape Engineering for Joseph Gilmore, 179 River Street, proposed raise and replace of existing single-family dwelling and land subject to coastal storm flowage.
Good evening, Craig Ferrari here with Down Cape Engineering, representing the Gilmores on their project to raise and replace this house. So you raised a number of concerns last meeting. I hope that I've addressed those with this plan. So I'll just highlight some of the changes here. We've removed over 1.5 feet of fill from the front of this property. There was concerns about too much fill, so we've lowered the grades, especially in the front, and we've also added a grass drainage swale for that front yard to just ensure that any drainage water in the front of this property is collected and retained on site. I've also altered the driveway slightly, just to tighten up that grading in the back, and I've shown a low point and a swale to the 2 rain gardens to ensure that the stormwater stays within this property and those rain gardens are properly utilized. And then we've also moved the driveway away from the large existing oak tree with the neighbors there. So I hope that has addressed your concerns, and I'm happy to answer any further questions.
Okay, any questions from the board?
Just looking at my notes from last week, so if you give me 1 minute. Okay. What about the tree? Did you mention that?
Yep, so, yeah, I did make a note that we're gonna save that existing large tree. And I moved the driveway a little further away to not impact the roots.
Got it. Thank you.
This grass drainage swale on the abutting project, is that,
Yeah, that's just shown for reference.
okay, all right.
I just wanted to make it known that was approved with the abutting property. Just, I mean, in reality, that's gonna be a nice low point for all the stormwater to collect there. But I am showing, you know, a separation between the two properties and the stormwater there.
Okay, thanks.
I know Ellie mentioned last week about, or last meeting about stairs. Did you?
Yep, so I have shown the correct number of stairs on all the decks and porches. It's 4 or 5 risers
Okay.
into those decks and porches due to the grade.
Thank you. I see them now.
I don't have the last plan. What was the highest grade that they have on this? Because this one's like 10 feet in the front. Was that 10 on the original plan
It
too?
was about 11 and a half in front.
That's what I
Yeah, so
thought.
it was decreased.
That's what I-
Here's the old one.
Still a lot of fill. 2 feet at least.
Yeah, the requirement is no more than 4 feet in a flood zone. So we're well within that.
Anybody else? Brittany, anything?
Is the grass drainage swale in the front yard going to be mown as lawn grasses, or will they be natural?
Yeah, it just a lawn, just a depression. I mean, it's
Okay.
pretty sandy soils, so I think that'll be suitable.
Okay, and I just have an abutter comment to read. I won't read all of it, but just an abutter from Bob and Gina McCullough were concerned about the grading and flood storage, understanding properties more resilient to the risks of elevated sea levels are generally supportive of that, but the commission looked at the impacts of storm events on neighboring properties? And we have. And I think that you have addressed most of our questions from previous meetings, so thank you for that. And I did confirm the drainage swale from the abutting project. It's on all of their site plans.
Anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom have any comments, questions on this one? Raise your hand digitally. I see none. Unless there's any further discussion among the board, would somebody like to make a motion to approve the project with special conditions?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You. It says no more than 4 feet. More than 4 feet on that other property?
Oh, yeah.
No more than 4 feet. I believe she said.
All right, next order of business is a new notice of intent for Captain Rick's Coastal Engineering for Gold Village LLC, 679 and 681 Route 28. Proposed bulkhead with tow stones for shoreline stabilization on land under the ocean, coastal bank, riverfront area, and land subject to coastal storm flowage.
This one's the lobster boat.
Oh, right.
This isn't a lot.
Yeah, this is Ed's emergency.
That's the emergency.
This isn't Gold Village?
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I'm confused.
What are you looking for?
Which one it is? It's not-
This is 679, 681.
isn't it?
We don't have it, do we?
That's not the lobster boat, is it?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. All right,
Sorry.
feel free, we're just having small discussions here. Feel free to go ahead and make your presentation.
All right. Hi, Tori Duma with Coastal Engineering.
Sorry, can you spell your last name? Sorry.
Yep, D-U-M-A-S. Here to present on behalf of the applicant for the sheet pile bulkhead with tow stones and for shoreline stabilization to protect the parking lot at the above-mentioned property, as well as for the installation of a buffer strip and filling and planting, and then reconstruction of the parking lot.
There you go.
If you're going to talk, could you bring your microphone with you? Thank you.
So,
Sprinkling papers over here.
We'll wait for the papers to get smoothed out here. We're good now. You're good?
Yep. Thank you. Yep.
All right, go ahead.
Sorry.
so as you can see, we're proposing to fill in between the area between the existing revetment locations with a bulkhead that will be protected with some toe stones. And then add a buffer strip along the south side of that of local vegetation or native vegetation between there and the existing building. And then here's a section. Here's a view of the existing site conditions at high tide. Part of the reason why we would like to consider the bulkhead is because you can see here that the north section has already, of the revetment, has already had to be repaired due to erosion of the toe stones, as had the south section. The north section in 2017 or 2011, and the south section in 2022. Then we have some examples of the erosion of the parking lot over the last year or so. If you'd like me to move that closer, I can.
If you don't know the site, you don't.
Okay. All right, and now open the floor to questions.
Steel or vinyl sheet pile, sheet? Back that up, okay.
What was the answer to that?
We haven't spec'd that yet.
When we were there the other day, we noticed that there are a couple of barriers that block off 3 or 4 spaces. I would assume that those spaces will not be put back, that you'd keep that barrier and maybe even plant some plantings there instead.
The goal would be to return all of the parking spaces that had been there originally, and then return the posts and rope to their original location prior to the erosion.
Personally, I'd like to see that not happen, and that you keep the 4 spaces from being used and do some plantings there to help take away the erosion, the possible future erosion.
There will be plantings in between the edge of the parking lot and where the bulkhead is, at the end of those parking spaces where they were.
Is there a picture of that, what I'm talking about?
No, sorry.
About there, though, right?
Maybe there's,
What's the-
is there a photo in the application? Probably.
Stated my case, that's it. You're next.
That'll work.
Yeah, you can see the barriers there.
Yeah, so I think I would agree with David's concerns. I'm not sure replacing the
tarmac.
the pavement where it once was, after you put in the bulkhead, is a great plan, but as long as the bulkhead is fully stabilized with that concrete dead man, it should be fine. I don't know if that's, because if you're saying the bulkhead's going to be out in the water here, that's why you need to fill?
No, if you look at the plan, it's actually a little bit landward of the top of the existing stones. It's just a hair landward of that, the sheathing
Okay,
is.
along the back, yeah. That just isn't adding up for me, though, because the pavement is falling into the water right now. And it shows a few feet of fill past the pavement. In the plan.
They're going to fill behind the sheet.
Sheathing.
And then repave.
So the sheeting will come out to basically where the parking lot, the edge of the parking lot was, is what it looks like to me.
Yes.
Where it was.
And then they're going to fill in behind that and then put parking space on top of that again. And then we'll have I don't know how many feet that is between the sheet pile is and the.
Yeah, and I think that this is an important portion of the proposal, that there's quite a bit of space, that there's grass right now between the top of the stones and the parking spaces. And we're kind of losing that because the sheathing is coming land side. That's a great photograph of it there. But if you look at it, the proposal is for the sheathing to be much closer to the edge of the parking spaces, in my opinion.
It's not going to change that section to the north.
Yeah, I don't believe it's supposed to be that way. I think,
See where those parking lines are? They go right to the edge of the sheathing.
Yeah.
And on that photograph you had up, Brittany, it showed a good space between the edge of the parking space lines and the top of the stones.
This is north of the area of erosion, though.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I understand, but you see what I was referencing the lines and the parking spaces as, see that? Maybe it's not if they didn't mean to draw it that way.
These are the
Yeah,
anchors. The light gray lines are the parking spaces.
Misunderstanding that.
this is the line of the parking, edge of the
Got
parking
it, I
lot.
see it now.
My only other question is that we'd like to see details of the plantings. They're just called out as native plantings. We'd like to see some details on that.
Some mitigation plantings, the whole length maybe?
I mean, we don't always ask we don't ask for mitigation for bulkheads in
They're
this
just-
respect, I guess, but at the same time, we're going to be talking about a COC for an emergency order that we did a year and a half ago.
Right.
That, in my opinion, most of that was caused, or a good portion of that was caused, or was certainly exacerbated by the fact that we have irrigation going full tilt.
Yeah.
7 months out of the year behind it.
Yeah.
So,
Great point.
The irrigation line is still there.
It is still there, existing. The owner has said he has shut it off.
we can shut it off, but we can also turn it back on.
Yeah.
That's my, I guess that's my, and that's what I was saying a year and a half ago, and that's what I'm going to continue to say now.
I
is
thought
that
we asked them to remove it a year and a half ago.
I certainly, there were a couple, if I remember right, there were a couple of sprinkler heads that were like literally right at the
Yeah.
top of the, and that should have been,
That's correct. And part of the COC, it's in there in the order of conditions. I think the way we worded it, though, however, allowed them to either disconnect or, it's number 10, shut off indefinitely or removed.
shut off indefinitely. Yeah, I think we just need to,
Remove it.
We can make that
if we say shut off indefinitely, that's indefinitely,
and change, yeah.
I think one of the conditions personally should be, I think personally should be just removed. Because you never know what happens if a future owner.
Should we talk about this during the COC?
Well, we can, but I'm just saying that it's germane to this,
Yeah.
this topic as well. I mean, this hearing,
Part of
so
the conditions for what we're doing now?
certainly, I would
Yeah.
say, yeah. 'Cause I think that's been one of my biggest concerns. I'm not saying that you can't do the project. I'm just saying, I don't want to be here, hopefully I'm not around that long in the next emergency, but I don't want to create an emergency for somebody else in the future either, so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying with respect to this, is that I just think we need to do some planting in there and, keep the irrigation from
Making problems.
just causing more problems in the future. So that was my concern with that one.
Question, so you think that whole area was impacted primarily by the irrigation, not necessarily because there are parking spaces there?
Exacerbated.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly
So-
exacerbated.
So if you go back to, one of the pictures shows these lines going through a black one and a white one, I think.
Talking about
The
the,
hoses, the irrigation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are those irrigation lines?
yes,
Okay, so they run the whole length of that parking lot, right?
yes.
So we're saying that that entire irrigation system should be removed, because if the irrigation exacerbated the erosion in that particular area, what prevented it from affecting, other areas of the parking lot? Or is that still a potential, or is it something we should concern ourselves with? It just seemed like it collapsed in that area.
Well, I mean, partly it collapsed. The other thing, I mean, that's why I'm saying it exacerbated the problem, but I mean, if you remember this area, like many years ago, when we were getting ready to put the marina in, this area, this bare area, the reason why we didn't have any revetment in that 30 or 40, 50-foot section is because there was salt marsh there.
Right.
And so DEP had said at the time, it's like, there's absolutely no way you would be allowed, they let it go. 25 years later, 20 years later, we expand the Parkers River Bridge, we allow more water to be moving through it back and forth. The salt marsh has eroded over that same amount of years, and we get erosion that, again, that was, I mean, again, I remember seeing sprinkler heads that were just gushing water. It wasn't even, and I think that was definitely causing the problem, or exacerbating. That's why I was saying exacerbating. So can they move some of the sprinklers up toward Route 28? I guess I don't have as much. I mean, personally, I'd like to just see the whole thing get planted and
Yeah, me too.
nationalized, but.
Yeah.
Me too. So it's mostly from the flow of the water in the river there that has eroded that area.
It certainly contributed.
Yeah, so fixing that one portion of that area is going to protect it and that area is gonna be secure from this point on.
Well, yeah, it's gonna have a revetment in front of it, so.
Revetment.
That
with the
wasn't there
revetment.
before.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, to me, obviously it needs to be fixed, but I'm just trying to understand, if you have this particular area, will it deflect into another area and create the same kind of a problem along the way?
So,
No.
because it's all armored now.
Yeah, all of, both sides are armored.
And I guess it's the opinion of some members of the commission that the way this is going to be attended to is an appropriate way to do it? Yeah, okay,
I think
Yeah.
so.
thank you.
I don't think we resolved the issue of those parking places, though, have we? I think we're going to ask that the irrigation be removed, but what do you want to do about that?
Well, I don't know if they're gonna have any room. They'll have to just measure to see whether or not they actually have room to, if we if we at least get that area to be planted behind this newest portion of the revetment, then I don't know if they're gonna have room or not, but
Let's say they
if
do
they
have
room, then that's up to them.
you know, would the reason why we wouldn't want the parking areas there because somehow it contributes to weakening that revetment? Or is it just, we don't like parking it?
The sheathing should really eliminate that question.
Yeah, so it should be strong enough for parking, yeah, okay. But there may not be room when you're all done, I guess.
If you look at the edge of pavement line, which is roughly in line with the edge of the vegetation line in the bottom there, there is room for a buffer strip there. Right, that's where the edge of pavement is. So there is room, I don't know how, I can't scale it off eye right now, but there is room there for vegetation strip.
I mean, if you can fit a parking, I mean, I don't know nothing about designing parking spaces, but if they can fit them in there legally and safety-wise, then more power to them. I think we need to get that's something that they need to, if they can fit it, they can fit it. If they can't, well, then they can't, but I think that at least addresses the performance standards and resource issues as far as wetlands go. All right, so the other thing too is that we have not, this has not gone through waterways yet, so we can't vote on it yet. So I think it works to your advantage that you can certainly, when is it scheduled? When's waterways scheduled?
November 13th, so we should be able to just continue to our next hearing on the 16th.
14th, right? Or
16th.
16th, right?
When is the one after that?
December 7th. Can you?
Could we continue to that, to December 7th, just to give us time to react to anything that possibly does come out of that?
Yeah, I don't anticipate
I
the
don't think you're gonna
waterways
see
saying
anything
anything.
from waterways on it, but,
I'd rather be safe than.
Yeah.
okay.
December 7th?
So December 7th.
And just the DMF comments are a typical time of year restriction, and you're expected to have in-water siltation control during the work.
Yes.
And then I'll give you some time to tweak the plan for showing buffer strips, that sort of thing.
Yes.
Okay, unless there's anything, is there anybody, I don't see anybody in the audience. Well, nobody that counts.
I don't think there's anybody up there, but you can ask. Oh, we're good.
Is there anybody on Zoom who has a comment or question about this project? All right, if not, then would somebody like to make a motion to continue to December 7th?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next order of business is another notice of intent. Kieran Healy, BSC Group, from Marie Karen, 807 Route 28, proposed 26 by 44 garage and land subject to coastal storm flowage.
What did I do with my? Throw it out.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware, but I understand that Mr. Healy is now the manager of the office. That's probably explains why we don't see him much anymore, but congratulate him on his.
I thought I did hear something of those rumors, and I said, no, that can't be, like. Well, congratulations, Mr. Healy.
Thank you. They offered it to me, I refused it, and they gave it to me anyway, so.
The corresponding increase in salary as well.
I've been there for 29 years. They take care of me, so.
That's right.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, my name is Kieran Healy. I'm a land surveyor with the BSC Group, representing the owner of the property, Marie Karen. We're looking to put a garage on the back of this property. It is right on Route 28. There is an existing commercial property in front that is going to be converted to a residential home, and this garage will be a detached garage as part of that residential home. We are within the flood zone. There is no other resource area affecting this property other than the flood zone. We are proposing to have the slab elevation to meet flood zone requirements, and we're bringing in the least amount of fill we possibly can just to build up the outside of the building. The garage slab will be at 12.2. We have an elevation of 12 in front, and then going down to 11, and then it matches the existing elevations of 10.5 to 11 as it goes back up to Route 28 and Main Street. And then we're proposing 3 parking spaces on the side of the building as you come in. There is a common easement between the 2 neighbours here at number 811 and this property, and that's the existing blacktop that you might have seen out there. The property line kind of splits that. So that 15-foot easement on both sides will remain, and access will be to the Route 28 in the same manner that it is right now. Other than that, I'd be glad to answer any questions. We're not proposing any new septic system. This garage will not, it's a detached garage. This will not trigger any septic flow or anything like that. And it's just simple vehicle storage.
Okay, all right, questions from the board?
I'm just sure you saw the DEP comment. When is it going to be transferred from commercial to residential?
They're in the process, and I think they've had somebody already to work on the interior floor layout to remove, right now it's a big open shell because it was a retail store. It was Annie's, for those of you who remember. But it's just going to be, they've had somebody to work on the interior right now.
Okay, I guess I mean the zoning, right, has to be transferred from commercial to residential. Otherwise, the stormwater standards still apply.
You're allowed to have a residential home on a commercial lot, so you don't have to change zoning to make that
Okay.
happen. So I know that's kind of a gray area, but you can just go in with a building permit and apply. So there's no zoning or board of appeals or requirement to do that type of thing to make this a residential, because you are allowed one single family home in a commercial property.
Okay, I guess the DEP comment is then the garage can't be started until the home is finished. Otherwise, the stormwater standards still apply.
Home is finished or the building permit is pulled?
Oh, right, it's on hold for this NOI.
Again, it's on hold until the building permit is applied for, on hold until the building is complete.
Okay,
Because there's obviously potentially a year's difference between that. I can let the client know that we can't start construction of the house till the building permit, can't start construction of the garage until the building permit is applied for. I don't believe the client will have an issue with that at all.
yeah, that's fine. I just wanted to point that out since DEP commented on it. And is there any new pavement going in?
There is new pavement, yes. The new driveway will run off the existing, right where your customer is right there. That will just come down that existing pavement and then just come around and drive into the garage.
Okay,
Again, the minimum possible to get up into the building. I don't see this creating a stormwater issue because the ground all around is just lawn. It's not going to generate that. We also have 2 dry wells put in for the building itself. You'll see on the left-hand side to capture any runoff from the building.
okay, yeah, the runoff from the building is definitely taken care of, but what about the runoff from the new grading to the other properties on the east and the west
Typically,
and the
once
south?
we're 5 feet away from that, we don't have a runoff situation like that. So the slope is at a 3-to-1 slope, which would be grassed, and that by itself generally slows down any runoff that might happen. And then the bottom area would be flat, and that would capture any water.
Okay.
If you want, we can put in a trench, kind of a trench swale along the edge. I don't think it's necessary, but if the commission would like to see that, we can gladly do that along the southerly and the westerly sides.
If you're confident with that spacing, then I don't need a trench, as long as the commission agrees.
Fine.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Okay, anybody in the audience? Anybody on Zoom have any comments or questions on this one? If not, would somebody like to make a motion to approve with special conditions?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously. Right, so next is request for certificate of compliance. I'm taking 7, 8, and 9 out of order right now. So those are all easy, no issues. So
Which one is 7, 9, do you have that?
do I have a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for SE 83-2302 2 Channel Point Drive, for SE 83-2356 22 Holly Lane, and for SE 83-2253 24 Charles Street.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
I got Paul.
Owens.
Paul beat you.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. For next request for certificate of compliance for SE 83-2353, 679, and 681 Route 28. Everything is good, Brittany. You're just asking for continuing
That's the,
condition for number 10?
yeah, that's our lobster boat. So if you wanted to modify the continuing condition to just say it must be removed, we can.
Yeah, because that's what we're doing with the other one, so just to match, so they can match.
It must be removed.
So this is 79 and 81?
Yes.
CLC? Okay.
Mhm. That's for, yeah, 2353.
Okay.
All right, so is there a motion to issue the certificate of compliance for SE 83-2353?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried unanimously.
Anything to sign?
Hmm?
To sign?
That's what I'm getting ready to do right now. I'm just going to call the next one, and then we'll keep moving here.
All right, I got these I have to do here.
I'm going to hold off on that one. All right, and then finally with the request for COCs, item number 6, SE 83-22702 Channel Point Drive. There are issues, Brittany?
Yeah, sure. So on my site visit, this was a coastal stabilization project. And during my site visit, it looks like most of the coastal bank has been stabilized, the upper portion, about 75%. The lower portion still is mostly just sand with no vegetation in it. And there is a compost sock on site that was, from my understanding, I thought it was meant to be a fiber roll in the project. And in the further portions of the site, it is slumping over existing salt marsh, which is a concern for stability over time. And I spoke with Matt Creighton about the plantings on the top of the bank as well. I still don't know if we're on the same page about those either, but from my understanding, there was supposed to be 3 feet extra of plantings at the top of the bank. On the original application, it showed the edge of lawn at the same, in line with this dock here, and plantings to be added to that, which I'm not seeing on site, but they thought they had put them in. So those are just the things that I was worried about here. Mostly this portion where the fiber, it was supposed to be a fibril, but it looks like a compost sock on site. It doesn't look like it was anchored, or it could be anchored, maybe, to solve that.
Well, I mean, it definitely the planting strip needs to be planted, and how do we want to proceed with the sloughing?
Yeah, so Kieran, do you know if this, I mean, in the application, it said a fiber roll. Is this meant to be the fiber roll?
That was meant to be the fiber roll, as far as I know, yes.
That is, I don't think that's a fiber roll.
With regards to the plantings on top, I think one of the things that might be a little confusing is that when they planted, they also extended that little deck, that 3 feet, the walkway, so that they would be beyond the plantings, because if you look at the earlier stuff, the flagpole that's out there, on our original plans, that flagpole was in the lawn. When you look at the flagpole now, it's in the plantings. So the plantings got put in, but they extended the walkway that extra 3 feet. So it looks like the walkway is in the same.
Okay, I didn't know that expanding the walkway was part of the project.
It's it was to get it through the vegetation that they've planted. It's basically 6 pieces of wood on the ground.
Okay. Let me just
To get through the areas that were planted, that's what they did. And again, the original plans made it from 8/25/2021, show that flagpole in the lawn. You can see it right there, that one right there. You can see that how the vegetation now encompasses that, and the same thing on the other side.
See, this is, I mean, it shows the pier here and the lawn being brought back.
So they put in 3 feet of pier, they extended northward just to make it level with the edge of the lawn.
Okay, that was not a part of the plan.
Was that called out in the letter?
No. You can see what Matt said.
Moving on to the slope itself, before we started working out there, the slope was highly degraded, and you could see the vertical slopes there. You can see how it's taken by removing the invasives. The salt marsh is definitely coming back. The salt marsh is actually going through the sock that's out there, so it's actually doing a good job. It's holding back the bank. It's stabilizing the bank. It's not the prettiest thing. It's the first time I looked at it, I said, okay, let me make some calls on this because it doesn't look that pretty. But it's actually doing its job pretty well. It's holding the bank, it's stabilizing it, and the salt marsh is actually growing through it. So it's doing a good job, and the salt marsh is coming back. That area, you may remember, was originally degraded salt marsh.
Yeah.
So that's actually coming back. So again, if you take out the prettiness factor, it's actually doing its job, and that's obviously.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't here when this was started, but this really, there's existing peat down here and it's being crushed, so that is concerning.
Yeah, I don't remember what it was like.
Site
I
photos
can tell
from
you if we-
2021.
Even if the log was elevated above the peat, I don't see that as being too successful a means for for growing salt marsh or Spartina, but it looks like it's not growing through it. It looks like it's growing in front of it, right?
This is right when the work was done, not now.
Are those the original pictures or the pictures now?
These are from 2021 when the work was completed originally, not from now. This is from now.
If you're telling me that's the same,
Yeah.
then something's going on there. I mean, if you're telling me the picture you're showing me is 2021 after the work was first completed, that's what that is?
Yes.
And then you're telling me that first picture that you started with is the same spot?
But there's one significant difference. The picture was taken 21 was taken at high tide. The picture taken in 2023 is at low tide.
Well, I'm willing to ask Brittany to go back and take the same picture again at high tide, but
Yeah, I mean,
to me that's the same. At least that's just me. I don't know.
I guess rather than having to argue.
we should
see
start
with the
talking about
commission,
solutions.
see if there's a solution here that the
Yeah.
commission would like to work with, and we can gladly work with, doing something.
Yeah, I think we need a solution to, this is, unless the commission disagrees that this is a problem. I just think it's a problem. I don't get to vote.
Should be replaced.
That sock is working. It is protecting the bank, and the bank is stable.
But, I mean, it was supposed to be a fiber roll. I mean, fiber rolls are supposed to be anchored, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, that does not look like
I'm just
the-
confused.
I mean, we can straighten it out and put beam poles through it, which are gonna anchor it. It looks like there are beam poles here and there along it, and maybe a
Yeah,
few more
but
would
not- yeah.
would help, make it a straight line and make it not fluff like it is right now.
That definitely does not look like fiber roll to me, but
Want to replace it, start new.
Well, see, that's the thing. Right now, it's very stable. If we pull it out and rebuild it, it's not the salt marsh that's there that's growing through it.
It's gonna be ripped out.
That's right.
And there's nothing at stabilizing the bottom. But there's salt marsh in front of it.
What's the main concern, Brittany? I mean, if it's,
Of this,
Karen is saying it's stabilizing and,
it's damaging the existing salt marsh.
it's what?
It looks like it's damaging the existing salt marsh.
Oh, okay. So what's the solution?
The reason we were doing this is because the salt marsh was degraded.
Yeah.
So the salt marsh is coming back. So even though it looks like it's damaged, it's actually better than it was before we did the work. But obviously it looks like it's damaged area, and you can see the underneath the peat underneath it. But when the earlier photographs before this was done, it was a vertical slope like this, and we pulled back into the land to make it look like that picture up there.
So this has happened over a period of what, 2 years?
2 years, yeah.
2 years?
Well, actually, a low tide picture from 2021 would look quite different from the high tide picture from 2021. There would be a lot more degraded area visible.
Okay.
This was before the project. They had put these roses in as part of a different project. And that's why I thought that they were supposed to be moved and more planted, which I'm still not 100% about, but it seems like they just made the deck bigger.
Well, no, I would disagree with that.
Oh, I thought you said they brought the deck out.
We brought the deck out because the plants came out.
Okay.
We wouldn't have you can see by your picture that the deck is right in line with the edge of the plants.
Yeah.
So we wouldn't have done that if the plants weren't there. So you can see it's right in line, right on the top right there.
So you're saying it started back here?
I believe so, yes.
Isn't that, the slope is already, okay. I don't know about that.
What we can do is we can go out and survey it and actually locate exactly where the edge of the plants are.
Even just measuring the deck length would be an easy.
yeah, I mean, I'd like to at least see that, and if you could just take a couple more pictures for comparison to the 21 photos then as well.
Okay. They don't have any photos of the deck.
Standing on the deck taking photos.
Yeah.
Actually, that last one there is a good one. It shows how the deck is pushed back, is further out. That's actually a good one right there. Because then you can see how the walk area comes inside that. So you can see how the deck now comes through that area. And comes out to the grass. So the edge of the lawn would be on your far left-hand side beyond this picture.
Okay. I see what you're saying now.
The green, plastic.
Yeah, I think that's all of my concerns. And you were saying that they could they were intending on removing the silt fence, but it looks like the silt fence is holding a ton of sediment. So I'm not really sure how to move forward with this.
I think his offer to resurvey would be an important element for us to understand really what's there. You agree?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see something. I'd like to see a plan showing this so we can, and I'll go out and take a look as well myself, because I'd like to see, actually put my feet on the ground for this one and see what's going on, because I don't know what to tell you. I'm not getting a good feeling with it, but at the same time, I see what you're saying too, so.
If you could give me a call, I'd gladly meet you out there so we could walk it.
Okay, I will do that.
Should just continue.
Yeah, if you don't, do you mind continuing?
No, you might continue. We want it to be right and we want the commission to be happy when we close it down, so.
Okay, can you get everything, the new survey?
December 7th.
How much time do you need?
Let's plan for the next meeting. And
Okay.
I'll try and have it in for a week from tomorrow, right, Friday? Is that,
That's the 19th, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you can get it turned around that fast, then that would be fine.
16th.
And then I'll try and meet up with you maybe on Monday or, no one on Tuesday, but maybe Monday. I'll aim for Monday, let's put it that way. But I'll give you a call.
good?
All right? All right, just have a motion to continue to November 16th.
So moved, David.
Is there a-
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Thank you, Karen. It's 2270. There you go. Just the one page. All right, next order of business is enforcement for SE 83-2257 15 Park Avenue. Additional work completed outside approved plan driveway and hardscape in the 50-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank. Is this your baby too?
Maybe two, and
Okay.
I mentioned to Brittany, the owner, the contractor, had called me 3 weeks ago to get out to the site and to locate what was there so we could come to the commission with it. I just hadn't had a chance to do so. Two of the guys were sick, we're now back in full operation. Because of COVID and the hospital visits, we got behind, so I'm actually scheduled to meet the contractor there in the morning. So we would just ask the commission's, I won't say forgiveness, but for the moment, just grace, shall we say, so I can get a chance to deal with this and see what was done wrong, what was built bigger than it should have been, and figure out exactly what needs to be done.
Oh, okay. I mean, I can give a brief overview. We probably definitely would still need to see a revised plan, but is it okay if I review what we think needs to happen?
Sure, that's good.
Yeah, go ahead and do that, and that way you can address it
A
then.
head start, yeah. So the applicant requested an occupancy, so I went out for a site visit. Usually I just check for dry wells and make sure they were installed. But I noticed that over the approved plan didn't have any driveway on it, and there is a paved driveway, and we're in the buffer zone to a coastal bank. And there's a paved walkway to the front door.
Keep this with it.
I also installed a gravel strip almost adjacent to the coastal bank on the opposite side, and some landscape planting that was not on the approved plan of non-native species. And so mostly we just wanted to see a revised plan to an attempt to amend the order of conditions to see if more mitigation could be used to permit the asphalt paving, and their intention for this gravel area. And
It's still open, right? I mean,
it's still, yeah, it's not expired or anything, so they would just, yeah, I recommended filing a revised plan to try and get it amended in the enforcement order.
That's the one that's being delayed that they're gonna.
yeah, I think it's correctable. I think it's just,
Yeah, and I think when we were on site, it was difficult to tell. The patio was meant to be pervious, but I think they used that polymer sand, making it impervious, so it may have to put sand in between those instead of that impervious joining material.
Maybe a trench drain on the edge, do the same thing. Maybe water will come off will be captured in the trench drain. Stone on the edge rather than digging all these up and.
Would you be able to scrape it out? I don't know how that stuff works.
I don't think you can.
Okay.
If what I think it is, what you say it is, then that hardens pretty much like.
It's really in there?
Yeah, it hardens.
Okay.
It hardens very well.
Yeah, then I guess a drain would be,
Well, they have the gravel on the other side.
they do. And it's very flat, but it was just a note that it was meant to be pervious, and I don't think it was installed as such. Yep, that's all we're looking at here.
Okay, so you want to wait to ratify the enforcement order until next time then, right? Or you want to, we'll do it now, and
Let me see what I wrote in there.
so you didn't,
Did that downspout go to a dry well or just, okay, thank you.
It did.
Couldn't quite tell.
I required a revised plan some time
revised
ago.
plan must be submitted.
So I would have to just amend it, saying,
Okay, so amend it to include the amended order.
yeah, plus amended order and a new date.
So revised plan would trigger an amended order, or just a revised plan for discussion?
Oh, yeah, I guess, could you just do a revised plan?
Could we come in with the revised plan, and then if that works out, we're good. If not, if we have to do amended order at that point, we can do the amended order, but hopefully the revised plan would.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, I mean, we could
Showing
try it that way. If
mitigation
you
plantings.
need to amend, if we need to do it, then we'll have to you'll have to come back with the amended order then. Okay, if you're good with that.
Hopefully it's a minor modification as opposed to amended. But
Okay.
before I submit the plan, I will talk to Brittany about potential mitigation measures that we can do. So when you see the plan, it's as close as possible to.
Okay. I think it was in the 50. We'll talk about it.
Tell me again why you can't have a beer.
Okay, so we're
The riverfront area.
gonna leave it as it is right now, and then we'll amend if we need to.
Yeah, we can just, you can ratify the enforcement order with revisions showing
Okay.
the new date.
All right, so do a motion to approve the enforcement order as written.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously.
And that was to amend.
Yeah, so just, it's in the riverfront area, so general is 2-to-1 for paving in the riverfront area.
I like where your cursor is, there is a bit of pavement there. You can see right on.
You do it for the enforcement order, that's all.
Okay. So I have to.
It does appear to be bigger than what was there, but if you just scroll down a little bit, yeah. So that
That's-
whole section right there was bit, it does appear to be
This
bigger
little
by your
bit.
photograph.
Yeah, this little bit, I think.
So there was some there, it wasn't.
Yeah. So you don't need to mitigate for this tiny rectangle.
Let's hope they made that section a little smaller.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank you, members. Thank you, Brittany.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Karen.
Manager.
See, they dug up the right property this time.
We did, yes, yes. I enjoy doing it in the rain.
All right, let's see, on to other business, approval of meeting minutes for October 19th, 2023. Somebody like to make a motion?
So moved.
Motion, we accept the minutes as written.
I'll second.
All right, is there, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimously. Other business not reasonably anticipated, anybody?
Just a quick announcement, please stay tuned for the website and all forms of public communication. We will be having a regulatory update meeting on November 16th to go over our proposal for new regulations.
New regs.
New regs.
All right,
Yes, they're online. If you want a hard copy, come to the office. Thanks, Karen. That's all.
all right, anybody else? All right, would somebody like to make a motion then to adjourn?
Wait a minute.
This gentleman in the audience?
That's,
Maybe you should-
commissioner.
Okay, well, I didn't know, because
Because
I
you
wasn't
didn't
here.
hear him. Okay.
There you go. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We stand adjourned at 6:25 PM.